Hola y bienvenido. Welcome to Lito's Language Lab, the place where Spanish comes to life. This is your Spanish adventure. We don't just learn words, we use them, we build them, and we make them our very own. In Lesson 1, we learned how to talk about what I have to do using tengo que plus the infinitive. Today, we'll keep building on that same skill, but now we're going to learn how to say what you have to do. And we're also going to learn how to say what I can do and what you can do. That means today we're leveling up in two big ways. First, we'll change who the sentence is about from I, first person singular, to you, second person singular. Then we'll expand our verb choices from have to do something to can do something. But first, let's review a few key ideas that help everything make sense. Spanish brains on? Spanish voices ready? Vamos! Remember, nouns and verbs work differently in Spanish. Nouns have gender, masculine or feminine. Verbs do not have gender. Verbs change the form in a different way. This is a big key. Nouns are masculine and feminine. Verbs are conjugated or infinitive. If you keep those ideas separate in your brain, Spanish gets much easier. One helpful way to think about this is nouns are things, verbs are actions. In Spanish, things need gender because Spanish organizes objects and ideas into masculine and feminine groups. But actions don't have gender. Instead, verbs change form to match who is doing the action. That's why nouns and verbs follow two completely different rule systems in Spanish. Like we said, Spanish verbs appear in two main forms. First, the infinitive, the basic verb form you find in the dictionary. In English, infinitives usually include the word to. We see to eat, to drink, to use. These are the infinitives. Second, we see the conjugated form. The verb has been changed to match who's doing the action. For example, I have or you have. So remember, infinitive equals unchanged, the dictionary form. Conjugated equals changed to match the person. And today, we're going to practice both. Every Spanish verb will belong to one of three families: AR verbs, ER verbs, IR verbs. Those are the last two letters of the verb in its infinitive form. So once your brain learns the pattern of one family, it can begin to predict how many other verbs will behave. In Lesson 1, we learned several AR verbs: usar, buscar, comprar, llevar. Today, we'll add an ER verb too. And once you learn these patterns, you can learn hundreds of other verbs more easily. Before we get to our new material, let's quickly review our Spanish sounds so we have a good foundation when it comes to pronouncing our words. We've seen that Spanish has the same 5 vowels that we have in English. They just sound a little different. Knowing how to pronounce these sounds will help make all the difference in our Spanish pronunciation. Let's review the Spanish vowel sounds. Say these with me as they appear. A, e, I, o, u. We see that U sound in our new verbs usar as well as buscar. Remember, these sounds stay the same every time, and that helps us pronounce Spanish words correctly. Spanish pronunciation is much more consistent than in English. In English, one vowel can have many different sounds. For example, the letter U sounds different in umbrella, ukulele, put. Wow, 3 different sounds for one letter. But in Spanish, it's much easier. Each vowel has only one clear sound. That's a relief. This is why Spanish learners often become excellent readers very quickly. Once you know the sounds, you can pronounce almost any new word you see. One more sound reminder, the double L, the Spanish letter ella. The double L often sounds like the English Y, like yellow. So, llevar, we hear that Y sound at the beginning of the word, llevar. With that little warm-up of Spanish sounds, we're ready to get back to our action words, the excitement of our sentences. Remember that we've been progressing from saying that I have something to I have to do something. Let's start by saying I have.
Tengo.
Now say I have to.
Tengo que.
Perfect. Tengo que. That small word que completely changes the meaning of the sentence. Let's practice a few sentences using the new infinitive verbs we learned in the last lesson. Say, I have to use a map.
Tengo que usar un mapa.
Say, I have to look for my passport.
Tengo que buscar mi pasaporte.
Say, I have to buy this marker.
Tengo que comprar este marcador.
Say, I have to take this notebook.
Tengo que llevar este cuaderno.
Let's switch our focus now from saying I have to do something and talk about you. You have to do something. This is the second person singular point of view. I am the first, you are the second. This is the second person singular. Spanish verbs change depending on who the sentence is about. So today we're practicing how verbs change when the subject becomes you instead of I. We've been using this word a lot in the past, so say you have.
Tienes.
Using the same pattern we used for saying I have to do something, how would you say you have to?
Tienes que.
You already know tienes means you have. When we add que, it becomes a phrase that means tienes que, you have to. This is a power verb phrase. It tells us the action is something you have to do. And notice, we do not translate each word separately. Just like in Lesson 1, we learn it as one structure. Tienes que, you have to. Do you remember the Spanish infinitive verb for the English to use? Say to use.
Usar.
Now let's put those two together and say you have to use.
Tienes que usar.
Awesome. Notice what happened. We used a power verb phrase tienes que, and then we added the infinitive verb usar. Tienes que usar. That's the same pattern we saw in Lesson 1. That pattern being tienes que plus the infinitive. That's saying you have to do something. Now let's build full sentences. Say, you have to use this marker.
Tienes que usar este marcador.
Excellent. Now we're communicating complete sentences for the second person singular, the you form, you have to do something. In this instance, you have to use this marker. Say, you have to use a suitcase.
Tienes que usar una maleta.
Say, you have to use the flag.
Tienes que usar la bandera.
Say, you have to use that book.
Tienes que usar ese libro.
Say, you have to use a pencil.
Tienes que usar un lápiz.
Let's change our infinitives and say, you have to look for your passport.
Tienes que buscar tu pasaporte.
Say, you have to buy a marker.
Tienes que comprar un marcador.
Say, you have to take my notebook.
Tienes que llevar mi cuaderno.
Excellent. Let's keep growing our conjugated verbs. Remember, these are the ones that tell who's performing the action, and we're going to add a new one in the first person singular form. Listen how to say, I can.
Puedo. Puedo. Puedo.
Now it's your turn. Say, I can.
Puedo.
Remembering how we formed the negative of a verb to say things like I don't have or I don't need, how would you say I can't?
No puedo.
That's right. In Spanish, making a sentence negative is usually very simple. We place the word no directly in front of the conjugated verb. No tengo, no necesito, no puedo. This is the most common pattern for negative sentences in Spanish. But back to the affirmative. Say, I can.
Puedo.
Say, I can use.
Puedo usar.
Just like tengo que, the verb puedo is followed by the infinitive verb. The pattern stays puedo plus the infinitive. So once you learn one infinitive verb, you can immediately use it with many different power verbs. Tengo que usar, puedo usar. Say, I can use this eraser.
Puedo usar este borrador.
Say, I can look for.
Puedo buscar.
Say, I can look for your passport.
Puedo buscar tu pasaporte.
Say, I can buy.
Puedo comprar.
Say, I can buy a pencil.
Puedo comprar un lápiz.
Say, I can take.
Puedo llevar.
Say, I can take a suitcase.
Puedo llevar una maleta.
Great work using puedo, I can, with our infinitive verbs. Let's keep building our arsenal of infinitive verbs, the verbs we don't have to change right now, and listen how to say to eat.
Comer.
Notice that comer is an ER verb. That ER ending tells us which family it belongs to. Later, when we begin conjugating ER verbs, you'll notice that many verbs in this family follow similar patterns. Now it's your turn. Say to eat.
Comer.
Say, I can eat.
Puedo comer.
Now that we know how to say I can eat, let's learn some new food words to give even more detail. Learning verbs becomes much more useful when we connect them to real-life objects and real situations. That's why we're adding food vocabulary, so we can practice building meaningful sentences. Listen how to say apple.
Manzana. Man-sa-na. Manzana.
Manzana is a feminine noun. This is an easy one to remember. Manzana ends with the letter A, and we will use our noun helpers that also end with the letter A. Since apple is a feminine noun, how do you say an apple?
Una manzana.
How do you say the apple?
La manzana.
How do you say this apple?
Esta manzana.
How do you say that apple?
Esa manzana.
How do you say my apple?
Mi manzana.
How do you say your apple?
Tu manzana.
Say an apple.
Una manzana.
Say I can.
Puedo.
Say to eat.
Comer.
Let's put this all together and say I can eat an apple.
Puedo comer una manzana.
Say I can eat my apple.
Puedo comer mi manzana.
Say I can eat this apple.
Puedo comer esta manzana.
Say I have to eat this apple.
Tengo que comer esta manzana.
Say you have to eat that apple.
Tienes que comer esa manzana.
Say I need to eat the apple.
Necesito comer la manzana.
Say you need to eat your apple.
Necesitas comer tu manzana.
Excellent. You're doing such a fantastic job with this. I know we're switching back and forth between different verbs and different noun helpers, so we have to pay very special attention and listen and translate accordingly. But let's keep going. Listen how to say banana.
Banano. Ba-na-no. Banano.
Banano is a noun, so we have to know, is it masculine or is it feminine? Banano is a masculine noun. The O ending helps us identify, in this instance, that banano is masculine. Remember, not all nouns that end with O are masculine, just like not all nouns that end with A or A are feminine. But for the most part, most masculine nouns end with O, and feminine nouns end with A. Banano follows that pattern and will use the noun helpers in their masculine form for banano. Spanish learners often begin to recognize patterns between noun endings and gender. While these patterns are not perfect rules, they're very helpful clues when learning new vocabulary. Since banano is a masculine noun, how do you say a banana?
Un banano.
How do you say the banana?
El banano.
How do you say this banana?
Este banano.
How do you say that banana?
Ese banano.
How do you say my banana?
Mi banano.
How do you say your banana?
Tu banano.
Say a banana.
Un banano.
Let's put this all together and say I can eat this banana.
Puedo comer este banano.
Say I can eat your banana.
Puedo comer tu banano.
Say I can eat that banana.
Puedo comer ese banano.
Say I have to eat a banana.
Tengo que comer un banano.
Say you have to eat your banana.
Tienes que comer tu banano.
Say I need to eat that banana.
Necesito comer ese banano.
Say you need to eat the banana.
Necesitas comer el banano.
Excellent translating and using our various conjugated power verbs. Now let's move from saying I can and learn how to say you can, the second person singular form of this conjugated verb. Listen how to say you can.
Puedes. Puedes. Puedes.
Now it's your turn. Say you can.
Puedes.
How would you say you can't?
No puedes.
But back to the affirmative. Say you can.
Puedes.
Say you can eat.
Puedes comer.
Say you can eat an apple.
Puedes comer una manzana.
Say you can eat a banana.
Puedes comer un banano.
Say you can eat a banana and an apple.
Puedes comer un banano y una manzana.
Say you can eat this banana or that apple.
Puedes comer este banano o esa manzana.
Say you can use my pencil.
Puedes usar mi lápiz.
Say you can look for a hat.
Puedes buscar un sombrero.
Say you can buy a notebook.
Puedes comprar un cuaderno.
Say you can take this suitcase.
Puedes llevar esta maleta.
Muy buen trabajo. Very good work. You've done an amazing job working with these verbs and developed deep communication and expression of things we can do, have to do, and even need to do. You're learning how Spanish builds meaning through patterns, not word-for-word translations. Remember, Spanish is not just something you learn. Spanish is something you do. So keep practicing your Spanish because Spanish grows when you speak it. Hasta pronto!